Dogs on the grill, the brats as well. And the fans have gathered here in Arizona, Chase Field, along with Jim Hayes and Tim McCarver. I'm Dan McLaughlin. The roof is open, and the ball should be flying as Patrick Corbin makes his 5th start of the year. He has struggled here at home in the early going, 0-2 with an ERA close to 6.
He was an all-star in 2013, Tommy John surgery in 2014. Last year, only 16 starts. So really, I guess you could say he's still on his way back from Tommy John surgery.
The Cardinals with one left-handed bat in this lineup. And he's at the plate right now. Matt Carpenter leads it off. He batted 3rd yesterday for the first time.
So
one
different,
ball, one strike.
So different, pardon me, Dan, from last year when the Cardinals had a left-handed, for the most part, against John Lester, who started the first game of the season at Wrigley Field. The Cardinals started 4 left-handed batters against Lester and beat him that night.
Yeah, Jason Hayward that would play every day, so he would hit from the left side. You
Colton
got Carpenter,
Wong.
Matt Adams.
Yep.
So the bench features 4 lefties: Moss, Adams, Wong, and Hazelbaker. Eric Fryer, the backup catcher, hits from the right side.
Good slider right there. That is the same slider grip his father Dan taught him when he was 5 years old.
Really?
Same slider grip.
My question would be, why is he teaching him a slider at the age of 5?
Well,
valid point, right?
Well, evidently he showed promise. I didn't expect that question.
A leadoff walk for Carpenter, and here's Stephen Piscotty, followed by Holiday. Randall Grichuk is in center. Molina will catch. Then Jed Jerko, Ruben Tejada. He's at 3rd tonight. Carpenter will play 1st. Aledmus Diaz is your shortstop, and Adam Wainwright, the pitcher, batting 9th. The Cardinals have 4 hitters that have at least 4 home runs. This is one of them, Stephen Piscotty. Through 20 games last year, no Cardinal had more than 4 home runs, and now they've got 2 with 5. Moss and Hazelbaker, and Jerko and Piscotty both with 4 apiece.
Cardinals leading baseball in home runs with 32.
I don't know about you, but I did not see this coming.
Nobody did.
And a strike to Piscotty. No balls and 2 strikes.
2 fastballs and Stephen Piscotty's yummy land. Down and out over the plate. He can handle that pitch.
Corbin can be so tough on lefties, so that's why you have all the right-handed bats. They hit just .211 against him last year. That's inside and scoots away from Castillo. Looked to be the slider there, Tim.
A lot of wild pitches thrown with that pitch because of the spin of the slider. The ball spinning away from Castillo, their catcher.
Cardinals also lead the league in runs scored. 46% of their runs have come via the home run.
Wow.
Carpenter thought about going to 3rd, but he's back to the bag at second base. Evens it up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Baseball, by the way, was not Corbin's best sport. He was a great basketball player.
Can dunk a ball today. You don't think he's that tall. He's 6'3".
Grew up near Jim Boeheim's Syracuse Orangemen and was a big fan of that sport. Played it all through high school and did not play high school baseball until his junior year. He has faced the Cardinals only once in his career, and that was coming back from Tommy John surgery. Made a handful of starts a year ago, and that was on August 26th of last season. Ground ball hit left side and a base hit. Jake Lamb, the 3rd baseman, was going towards the bag at third. It created a hole, and Piscotty picks up the first hit in our contest. Dobbs Tire and Auto Center's defense for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Tomas in left. Peralta will play center field tonight. Brandon Drury, he was at third base in game one. He's in right field. Lamb at third. Ahmed, he's a good one defensively at short. Segura at second. Goldschmidt at first. And Castillo is behind the plate. I'm not sure Lamb would have gotten to that ball, but it was odd just to see him go straight to the bag at third, then get into a cutoff position for the throw from left field.
Yeah, and there was no attempt by Matt Carpenter to go to third base with nobody out. It's futile with the chance. Carpenter not a fast runner, and you don't want to make that first out at third base either.
So 2 runners on, nobody out here in the top of the first. This is Matt Holliday. Good to see Holliday back in the lineup, and we were here at the ballpark early. He was with the medical team and doing some sprints just to make sure he was all right with that sore leg, and he's good to go and in the lineup tonight.
A cramp 2 nights ago, missed last night's game.
One-oh pitch hit up the middle, and Segura makes a terrific play.
Ooh.
They'll get the man at second base. That's Piscotty. Run does score to make it 1-0 Cardinals.
Looking in the Cardinal dugout to see what Mike Matheny thinks of that throw at second base. Tell you, that was awfully close. He's got to be in the act of throwing. I'm not too sure he had the grip of the ball. Good play by Segura. From his right side, he throws to the shortstop, Nick Ahmed. I'm not sure Ahmed had control of the ball in his hand. No, he didn't.
No, he didn't.
That is not even close. He's safe.
Anytime I see this play, I think back to the World Series of 2013, Game 1, and we saw that play with Pete Kozma, and it changed the complexion of that game.
Boy, that's a great point.
And then
I mean, this isn't even close.
No, I agree with you. I think he'll be safe.
See, the umpire has to position himself in front of second base. Runner on first. That second base umpire is in front of the bag. So anything that happens behind the bag or with the shortstop, in this case, with his back to the umpire can't see. There's nobody to call the play.
The first look that we had, you couldn't see it. The second look that we had, and they're just showing it right now on the board here in Arizona, clearly showed he did not make that catch.
No. Got to be in the act of throwing, and he wasn't even in the act of catching it.
No.
Before he threw it.
Overall, replay has been very good for the sport in terms of getting calls right.
Yeah, but this shouldn't even take this long.
And
I mean, all you have to do is see it one time. That's it.
We should point out, the minute that they have a play like this, the split second it happens in New York, they are rolling back the video to take a look at it just in case it is challenged. So they've already looked at this multiple times before even the umpires get on the headset. That is the right call. So Piscotty will stay at second base and nobody out.
And I suppose certainly an RBI, but I would imagine a base hit for Matt Holliday.
We'll wait for the official scoring here, but (1 minute 39 seconds on the review). Here's Randall Grichuk, who's hitting .215. Cleanup man with 3 home runs, and he's driven in 12. Nobody out, runners at first and second. When Corbin has gotten into trouble, it has been early in games. This is when you've got to get him. Majority of the runs scored against him have been innings 1 through 3, and then after that he settles in. And a strike on the inside corner. of concern for the Diamondbacks right now in their organization is not only the wins and losses, but getting fans to come out to the ballpark and then also to try to create a little better atmosphere. It's been very quiet first 2 days of this series, and they say that's the way it's been all year.
Yeah, it's disturbing.
Popped up into shallow right. Drury makes the catch. We take a look at the Hyundai pitch arsenal for Patrick Corbin, the lefty for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Fastball, slider, and changeup.
Seems like those leadoff walks always score. Leadoff walk to Matt Carpenter tonight, and 1-0 Cardinals.
Here's Yadier Molina. .333 average, no homers, 10 RBIs. And a ground ball hit left side. Ahmed, a shovel pass to third, and the force. Nicely done.
Boy, that's a good play. Good heads-up play by Nick Ahmed. The shortstop. He had a play at second base.
Second baseman.
Seems like the Cardinals, their difference maker, the GMC difference maker, is getting the leadoff man on. Nobody does it better but Pittsburgh. And sure enough, Pittsburgh took a 1-0 lead against Colorado. As we speak, they now lead it 2-0 in the top of the third.
So look at your BJC Healthcare difference maker. And here is a look at Jed Jerko. Colton Wong feeling much better. We talked to him in the dugout before the game. Jim will have more on that, but feeling better after dealing with the flu last couple of nights. So 2 on, 2 outs. Jerko hits it sharply to Nick Ahmed. Flips to Segura. Leadoff walk to Carpenter. He comes around to score, and an RBI by Holiday, his 11th. And a heads-up play from the shortstop of the Arizona Diamondbacks. 1-0 after a half inning. Arizona Diamondbacks, Gene Segura will lead it off in his lineup, followed by Jake Lamb, Paul Goldschmidt, David Peralta, Yasmani Tomas, Wellington Castillo, Brandon Drury, Nick Ahmed hitting 192, and the pitcher batting ninth, Patrick Corbin. How big of a start do you think this is for Adam Wainwright, because he has not recorded a win yet this year?
I think it's a huge start. Just try to get back to basics if you're Adam and stay ahead. That's the mantra of every pitcher in baseball, and always has been, always will be. Strike one, the biggest pitch in an at-bat.
And when he does that, he has dominated this year. He gets strike one or ahead in the count. Hitters are 3 for 29 against him. It's a telling stat.
Numbers don't lie.
Curveball slowly hit left side. Tejada throws wide of Carpenter, and Segura with good speed on his way to second base. Probably an infield hit, then the air charge to Ruben Tejada.
Error on the overthrow. Ruben's first time at third base this year. Normally a shortstop. See the wide throw. Carpenter can't come up with it, and Segura made a very heads-up play. He waited for just a beat to see where that ball was and realized it was too far in the outfield, so he went to second base.
Now Jake Lamb. Runner at second base is Segura. You look back at the top of this inning, Tim, and the Randall Grichuk at bat looms large for the Cardinals.
Yeah, it does. You know, we said on the good side, the Cardinals are very, very good at scoring their leadoff runner when he gets on base. But they've had a very difficult time with runners on second base and nobody out and moving him to third so you can get that cheap run early. Cheap run meaning infield back, ground ball, sacrifice fly.
And with this lineup for the Cardinals featuring all the right-handed bats, they were trying to figure out a way to get Tejada in the lineup. And then where would you play Matt Carpenter? So he goes to first base tonight. And it's not foreign to him, if you're wondering about that. Matt has played over at first base plenty of times. Made 30 starts there in 2012. There's a ground ball hit to the right side. Jerko makes the play. But he only had 2 starts in 2013, none in 14, and 1 start in 2015. So those games over at first base for Matt Carpenter were a long time ago. As you get a look at the defense for the Cardinals tonight, Around the Horn presented by Dobbs. Now Paul Goldschmidt.
This is one of the things, Dan, that has changed in the game, having the infield in this early. I like the play. I like the thinking of Mike Matheny. If he gets a base hit because of the infield being in, it's a tie game. Segura, on the other hand, will probably make the ball go through.
If he puts the ball in play, more times than not, it is hit very, very hard.
Right.
And you would have that chance to get Segura.
Mm-hmm.
The 2-0 pitch. Line to second baseman Jed Jerko. Hard hit. There's your double play. Jerko to Tejada. And Wainwright needed that. We thought it might be hard hit. It was. And Jed Jerko right to third.
Not good base running by Segura. Got to watch the line drive.
.com @bat app. Stay up to the moment at any moment. Game Day Live, video highlights, StatCast, and more. #1 app for live baseball on your phone and tablet.
See, you've got the infield in, so you're not trying to get a good jump unless you're coming in on contact, and that was not the case with Segura. So he's got to watch the line drive and make a line drive go through to the outfield or off an infielder's glove before he takes the chance to score.
High chopper and taken there by Jake Lamb. 1 away. It's Tejada, the first out here in the second. So I guess the question would be, where is he going anyway?
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly. He's normally a very, very good base runner, but not on that play with 1 out, infield in. Line drive. A step and a half too far.
If they take the infield and play it back, which most teams probably would do, first inning, that maybe is a short hop to second base.
Sure, sure.
And the run would score.
Yeah, I don't think it's a line drive caught in the air.
Here's a Ledmus Diaz, and what a start for a Ledmus. Lamb makes the play. 2 quick outs for Patrick Corbin, and it brings in Adam Wainwright. Since the start of the 2014 season, the Cardinals have won 13 of the past 15 against the Arizona Diamondbacks. An incredible number, with the majority of those games going against Tony La Russa. He's beaten the Cardinals twice since he took over.
There's no way to treat your Hall of Fame manager.
I don't think they mind.
No.
So 2 outs, nobody on. And the first pitch is a strike.
And Tony walked away from the Cardinals with his heart in his hands. One of the more dramatic World Series in the history of the game. 2011.
3 ground ball outs. Wainwright back to work. Tony La Russa now manning the Arizona Diamondbacks. Arizona Diamondbacks in a beautiful night here in Phoenix as we check in with Jim Hayes. Jimmy.
Dan, as you mentioned, Colton Wong is feeling better today, but he really went through some awful stuff with that flu bug. He told me it was really a respiratory infection that he picked up in San Diego, and he said he didn't eat anything for about 4 days except forcing down some chicken soup. He said he dealt with chills, blurry vision, the shakes, and to put it politely, Dan, extreme internal strife. He told me he thought it was over before Monday's game, but once he got in the game, the symptoms returned fast. He had to be helped into the clubhouse. He's better now, but they're going to be very careful with him. And Dan, Colton told me he and his wife were staying with Shelby Miller while they were in Arizona. They were pretty much quarantined in the guest room.
Extreme internal strife?
That's a polite way to put it, Dan.
You want to explain it?
No, I do not.
Okay. Good enough for me. Here's David Peralta. That's a new medical term.
Nifty way of putting it.
0-2 the count on Peralta.
Speaking of that, we talked the other night about Peralta taking a job at a McDonald's when he became a hitter after pitching trials with the Cardinals for 5 years.
Now the 0-2 pitch.
And David, working at a McDonald's, had to get used to American cooking, of course, and mistook wasabi for guacamole, and had a huge tablespoon full of wasabi, thinking it was guacamole. You can imagine. Now that is internal strife.
I was about to say that will lead to internal strife.
Man.
Well, you explained that so eloquently. It was like listening to Vince Scully. Internal strife. The 2-2 is spoiled.
That is one comparison I have never had.
Well, I got to say, too, I've never really heard the term used for the medical issues that he had, internal strife.
No.
It's another 2-2 pitch. Adam Wainwright has been hearing from everyone, former players, guys on his team, neighbors, you name it. They all have a suggestion for him. And I asked Mike Matheny about that, and he said, look, Adam has been at this so long. We've asked him to kind of tune that stuff out. We know people are trying to help, but you know what you need to do. Get it corrected and get going. And a ground ball handled by Carpenter. Let's turn to Tim McCarver's Toyota key to the game.
Well, it's all about Waino tonight, getting right with Wainwright. And, I've got to tell you, Dan, I was talking to Bob Gibson the other night, and I said, what do you think about Waino? What do you see? He said he's throwing the cutter too much. And he said, you know what? A lot of pitchers, they're looking for movement. They think they cut fastball, which is really a poor man's slider, unless you put it in the hands of Mariano Rivera, the great Rivera, the greatest reliever who threw the greatest cutter ever. But no cutter so far tonight from Waino. And Bob was saying he'd rather see him throw that to points and positions on the plate, the good fastball, instead of sacrificing some velocity by throwing that cutter.
The cutter has become such a popular pitch, I think.
Fashionable, yeah.
Last 5 to 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
And as you said, kind of a poor man's slider.
Mm-hmm.
There's a good curveball.
Wicked curve right there to a free swinging Tomas.
One of the guys the Cardinals had that was just outstanding, Chris Carpenter, celebrating, by the way, his 41st birthday. So happy birthday to Chris. That's lined into the seats, but he had a great cutter. And it became such a popular pitch with him. Jason Isringhausen had it. prior to that coming out of the bullpen. Some believe that if you go to it too much, you'll lose velocity with the fastball too.
Oh, I think that was absolutely Bob's point.
And a strikeout for Wainwright of Yasmani Tomas. The Hyundai pitch arsenal for Adam Wainwright.
And you could see the sinker and changeup, the good curveball, but he will throw that cutter. That is certainly part of that pitch arsenal, but none tonight.
Wainwright has not been getting a lot of strikeouts in his games. This year, with the base hit by Segura, that's now 30 hits, 18 runs in 23 1/3 innings pitched. That was just his 10th strikeout of the season. He has walked 10. Very unlike Adam Wainwright. Wellington Castillo, the 1-0 pitch. And it's a pitch up for a base hit out to left. That's where he's been getting in trouble, Tim. It's just been pitches up, not that downward tilt that you see from Adam Wainwright.
Yeah, but those pitches are much less harmful when you retire the first two batters in an inning. That's getting ahead. As we've said so many times, the first pitch, first run, first out of an inning.
And that was the cutter.
You know, it was, wasn't it? That's his first cutter of the game.
Here's Brandon Drury. Hitting .302. And a strike.
You can see a cutter from Waino, even from your living room or your den when you're watching the game. If it's got movement away from a right-handed batter or in on a left-handed batter, and it's almost the same speed as a fastball, that would be a cutter. Curveball and the fastball, that's easy to determine, but the cutter less so. Movement away from the right-handed batter.
1 ball, 1 strike on Drury. Short lead at first by Castillo. Curveball hit out to deep left field, and the Diamondbacks have now homered in 8 straight games.
We talked about Drury the other night, about him having a very small backswing. He triggers his swing. He is so strong. You get up next to him, he's built like a piece of granite. Waited on the curveball and hit it very, very hard.
Nick Ahmed. Strike 1. You know, when a guy doesn't have success, you start trying to break down everything. Is it mechanics? Is it a loss in velocity? Wainwright has said it's mechanical for him. He feels as good as he's felt in years after the injury a season ago. And the velocity is actually up a tick or two. It has been location. Pitches up in the zone. The 1-1. Fly ball out to right, going back Piscotty, and he has it. Brandon Drury, his 2nd home run of the season. And with 1 swing of the bat, the Diamondbacks are on top. 2-1 as we head to the 3rd. A Zach Greinke and spend that kind of money and trade away highly thought of prospects and a good player and Ender Inciarte. The pressure that Tony feels with those types of deals. And now that he's in that seat and can make those deals. Not easy.
No.
Here's Carpenter, and he looks at a ball. I've often wondered, too, when Tony retired from managing after 2011, if at all he regretted it, especially with the young influx of talent that the Cardinals had coming through the system. They were very good in 12. 2013 make it to the World Series, postseason in 14 and 15, and He said no regrets whatsoever. He had made
no
that
regrets,
decision.
but if he returned, it would have to be in a competitive end of the business. None of these advisors to the general manager or president, not that those are not good positions, but they were certainly not for Tony. It's too competitive, too much fire there.
Ed Lewis on the right, who was in St. Louis back in the late 90s to help start up Cardinals Care. Tony had met him through ARF, and Ed had done a lot of work in that field.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, now he heads up the analytics department here with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Very interesting path towards baseball for Ed Lewis. The 2-2. And Carpenter strikes out. First strikeout for Patrick Corbin. Friday, April 29th, 30,000 fans ages 16 and older receive an adult zip-up hooded sweatshirt. Stay warm as you cheer on the Cardinals all season long. Just visit cardinals.com/promotions for tickets. This Friday, Cardinals return home. Nice long homestand coming up. And the Cardinals will probably arrive in St. Louis around 5 a.m., 6 o'clock in the morning, and then turn around and play a night game on Friday night. Mike Matheny talked about that before the game as Piscotty singles into center field. He was none too pleased with the schedule makers.
Playing Friday night against Washington. Washington shut out tonight by Jeremy Hellickson of the Phillies. Good hitting by Piscotty, going right back up the middle with that fastball away.
And a man that knows a thing or two about the Washington Nationals, their former manager. That's Matt Williams, and he's back in Arizona. Longtime player here, was a coach here under Kirk Gibson, and now he is a third base coach for Chip Hale. One out, runner at first. Here's Holiday. Picked up his 11th RBI of the season back in the first inning. Outfield is deep and straight away for Holiday. And that's hit out of play. Think about the move the Cardinals made to bring in Mike Matheny as the manager following a world championship team, following Tony La Russa, and also first year without Albert Pujols. And yet
Talk about pressures
yeah.
of the game. Yeah.
And yet Mike has found a way to guide this team into the postseason every year he's been the manager of the Cardinals.
Averaging 94 wins a year in the process.
That had never been done in the history of baseball, where a manager takes over and in his first 4 seasons goes to postseason play. The 1-1 is a high fly ball into deep left center field. Oh, a running catch by Peralta. Nice play by David Peralta.
Now that's why you play the big guys deep, because it makes your route easier. You're obviously going over, but you're already deep. So you don't have to go back and over. Good play.
He's primarily been the right fielder here with Arizona. Chris Owings is on the bench tonight. And here is Randall Grichuk. And again, the team here in Arizona really misses A.J. Pollock, who would have been their everyday center fielder.
Wow. Broke his elbow in that head-first slide the day before the season opened, or a couple of days before the season opened, the last spring training game.
The 1-0.
We talked in the opening that Adam Wainwright had to trust his stuff. Randall Grichuk has to trust his bat speed. Let the ball go deep. Don't jump at the ball. Stay back.
And the 1-1 is a high fly ball into right field. Drury over to make the catch. Cardinals strand a runner. We are midway through 3. Arizona on top.
Ball. Wow.
Tim, they've hit a total of 3 home runs.
Yeah.
Neil Walker hit his 9th today for the Mets.
Yeah. He has 3 times as many home runs as the whole Atlanta team.
Freddie Freeman is not hit. And we did that series down in Atlanta. As you get a look at Patrick Corbin, be very tough for them not to lose 100 games. And the Atlanta Braves, how bad has it been? Look at some of the names of these teams on this list. The Statesmen, the Bean Eaters, Boston of 1906. There's the Atlanta Braves of 2016. Wow. That's all Tim can say. Incredible.
I guess the St. Louis Maroons became the Browns. Is that right? Or no? They did not become the Cardinals.
No. Gene Segura, breaking ball, looks at it low.
1891, I believe they were the Louisville Cardinals. St. Louis and Louisville. St. Louis winning their first world championship against the Yankees in 1926.
Babe Ruth, the final out, trying to steal second base.
Go figure. Bambino was out.
I'm sure he was motoring too towards second base. Here's a 1-1. You know, this is the 100th year of the DeWitt family in baseball. Bill DeWitt Sr. started selling popcorn and soda at Sportsman's Park, or Robinson Field, and that's how he met Branch Rickey.
1916, right?
And then all of a sudden, Branch Rickey brought him in the front office, helped him get his law degree, and it's carried over to Bill DeWitt Jr. and now his son Bill DeWitt III.
Good pitch from Wainwright. Get him off the plate. Get guys back.
We're told the Maroons were only around for 3 seasons. That was it. Here's a 2-2 pitch. I realize it's a small sample size, just a couple of games, but Gene Segura looks like the player that we saw a few years ago with Milwaukee.
I think he looks
traded.
better at the bat, at the plate. A lot more confidence than he had last year. It seemed like he was just a
up the middle and a base hit past the diving Diaz.
Segura went through that personal tragedy last year.
Lost his son. Who died in the Dominican Republic. Look at where those hands are, Tim. That's something they've really worked on with him. He's dropped his hands.
You know, we've talked often about Colton Wong holding his hands down, and for some reason, and I'm not sure why, right-handers are more unaffected than left-handers by holding their hands low. Perhaps it's because most of them are right-handed throwers, and they have a dominant right hand. Now think about a left-handed batter with a who is a right-handed thrower, a guy like Colton Wong, his bottom hand is not his power hand.
That's a good point.
So maybe that has something to do with it. But generally speaking, left-handed hitters have to hold their bats to start their swing higher than right-handed batters. Generally speaking.
One out, runner at first. Jake Lamb grounded out to second his first time up. Cardinals have a shift being used here.
You think about the history of baseball, there have not been that many outfielders, infielders who threw left and hit right.
So it was the other way around.
A handful.
Right. I'm sure you saw the comments from Joe Girardi, the Yankees manager, talking about shifts. He'd love to take them out of the game.
Tell you, I paid attention to those comments. I thought Joe had some, I thought they were well thought out.
Well, I'm sure when they designed the game of baseball, they said, all right, when you play third base, this is where you go. And you're not supposed to deviate from that position. And now with analytics and all the research that's being done, this is why teams are using it. I don't know. I think his points are valid.
It's
I thought it was
food
interesting.
for thought,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Two and one the count. Cardinals turn to double play back in the first inning with the infield drawn in and a line out off the bat of Goldschmidt, and they doubled up Segura at third base. The 2-1. Missouri Lottery Fox Tracks as we get a look at the tilt of this breaking ball.
Good breaking ball. Watch, it stays away from Lamb.
This is the 10th career start for Adam Wainwright against Arizona. Had given up only 2 home runs in those 9 starts as he went 6-3. 2-2 pitch. Out in front of the plate. Fair ball. Molina to second. Double play.
What a double play. My goodness.
Aided by the shift because Diaz was right at the bag at second.
Great point. What a play. Was closer to second base, and that's exactly what happened. The beauty of Molina, he didn't allow the ball to take that second bounce. He snagged it with his bare hand in the throwing position, a rocket to second, and a good turn by Diaz. That is just a thing of beauty, folks.
Seen it so many times where the hitter will give up on that play too. They think that's going to go foul, or maybe potentially is foul. And Molina hops out of that crouch.
Yeah, he's too quick.
Yeah,
he's too quick for the ball to go foul. Had he allowed it to take that hop after that high hop, maybe it jettisons foul, but he wasn't going to give it a chance.
2 balls and a strike on Molina. 0 for 1 tonight. A 2-1 Arizona lead as we play here in the top of inning number 4. And it's taken low. So the second walk issued by the left-hander Patrick Corbin.
Second baseman, Jed Jerko.
Two starters tonight that have come back from Tommy John surgery. It's almost as if, Tim, that the rotations, the various clubs around Major League Baseball, their bullpen guys, majority of them have come back from Tommy John surgery instead of the other way around. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is.
Jerko grounded out, first time up. Tough to turn to. Ahmed to Segura, fires to first, safe. It's a former shortstop with the turn there at second base and showing off the arm. Arcia in the driver's seat. Cardinals since May 20th of 2014 against Arizona, averaging close to 5 runs a game. Team ERA is under 3, and that's a combination for success. 13-2. How about the arm of Segura on that play? Whew.
I didn't think it was going to be close, but it was because of him.
Ruben Tejada hit a high chopper to third his first time up. And he's 0 for 1. Cardinals with 2 hits. Both by Stephen Piscotty. Mike Matheny telling us before the game he really wanted to get Tejada in the lineup tonight. And he said it's tough with the way that Moss has been swinging the bat. He's going well, but did not want him to face the lefty. And there's a ground ball, double play ball, 6-4-3 on the double play. Midway through 4, and it's a 2-1 Diamondbacks lead. It's open, a beautiful night here in the desert, and a 2-1 Arizona lead over St. Louis. Jim Hayes, Tim McCarver, Dan McLaughlin with you. 3, 4, and 5 against Adam Wainwright. Starts with Paul Goldschmidt. I think this becomes a big inning for Adam Wainwright. The reason that you say that is that when you look at the 16 runs he's allowed, 11 of the 16 have come in the 4th inning or later. He's had a couple of games in which he's been staked a 4-run lead, couldn't make it stick. And it's been that 4th inning where things catch up to Adam Wainwright. 1 ball, 1 strike. Wainwright trying to recover fully from the Achilles injury that he suffered a year ago as Goldschmidt pulls it foul. And his numbers right now very similar to the first month back from a season off with Tommy John surgery. Almost identical. And I think there's something to be said for that.
Yeah, you're not sure whether it's coincidental or not.
You're not following me.
No, well, I'm not disagreeing.
Oh, I think you're disagreeing.
No, I think it could be. That was a cutter right there. I'm not disagreeing. No,
just go ahead and say it.
If I were disagreeing, I would say it. But I'm not disagreeing. But I am saying you don't know yet whether it's coincidental or for real.
The 2-2. High fly ball, center field. And it's a home run. Goldschmidt with the homer, the 2nd of the night for Arizona.
I'll tell you, if the roof had been open then, it would have come very, very close to the top of the roof. That's how high that ball was. Fastball inside to Goldschmidt, and he hit it a ton. Oof.
Wow. Breaking ball and a strike to Peralta.
Not only was it far, but it was so high.
Yes. 1 ball, 1 strike on Peralta. Grounded out to first. By the way, here is my point that I was going to make very eloquently to convince you.
You did.
The idea would be that it's not just the Achilles or the elbow, but your body and getting back into playing every day and the routine, those kind of things. Just something to think about.
Sure.
And you have thought about it. We've moved on. Now I see you smiling.
My partner, folks, is relentless.
1-2 the count. A 3-1 Arizona lead. And a strikeout. Jim Hayes, help me out. What do you got?
Dan, you are relentless.
Thank you.
Jed Jerko, quiet here in Arizona so far. May need something that he got in San Diego. Steady diet of booze. Jerko, of course, played in San Diego before the trade to St. Louis, and he heard the booze at Petco Park in a big way, and he responded with a pair of 3-hit games. He said after Sunday's game, I hope when I go back to St. Louis, they boo me there too, because it worked out pretty well. Dan, anything, I guess, that gets you a 3-hit game, you're fine with.
Here's Tomas and a fly ball into center. Grichuk going back near the wall and just enough room. 2 away.
Catcher, Wellington Castillo.
You know, Tim, if you're called out on strikes by Tom Hallion, you could be in the top row of this ballpark, and you'll know it's a called third strike, as he calls it emphatically.
Yes, he does.
It's a Mike Tyson right hook.
Yeah, it's almost like he takes his time and makes sure it's very loud.
He's the crew chief behind the plate and calling the balls and strikes. Tony Randazzo, Dan Bellino, and Adam Hamari. Two balls and no strikes on Wellington Castillo. The last time that Adam Wainwright saw Arizona was in 2014, May of that year. It was a one-hit shutout. The one hit, Paul Goldschmidt. And he has a homer tonight. There's the curveball, and it's yanked foul. He's now up to 6 home runs this year. And Tim, we've talked about the sense of urgency for Tony La Russa. Well, there's a sense of urgency for various reasons, and one of those reasons is Goldschmidt is under contract for 2 more years after this season. He hits the open market, that's big money, and while he's here, they want to put a winner around him. Paul Goldschmidt with the home run, now his 6th this year, 16th driven in. A high towering shot to center. And the Pirates trying to go to 13-9. That's well hit. Down the left field line. It's hooking, and it is a home run. Long home run. Aledmys Diaz. His 4th of the season. He's 1 for 2 tonight. And this guy has been sensational here in the first month.
Entered the game batting .466. That's right. And he wasn't even a thought in spring training. There were 3 guys ahead of him. Johnny Peralta was hurt. Ruben Tejada was hurt. Jed Jerko started the season at shortstop. I asked Derek Gould of the Post-Dispatch if Diaz was the biggest story in baseball. I know it's arguable, but to me, he is.
Knocked down by Jake Lamb. Trevor Story in Colorado. Everybody talked about him, and
Yeah.
you understand why with all the home runs. But
Right.
you know, Tim, he also entered hitting .640 on the road. Diaz.
Sick. I know Bryce Harper's a story. Gene Segura's a story. There are a lot of stories around, but none bigger than that young man right there. Aledmys Diaz with another home run.
That's 13 extra base hits here in the first month.
Eesh.
That's now 5 Cardinals with 4 or more home runs. Here's Matt Carpenter. Walked and scored back in the first and struck out in the third. It's funny you say that because I mentioned that to another writer, and I said, I think Diaz is the best story right now in the game, but no one's talking about him. To be a player that wasn't even supposed to be here and then thrust into starting.
And we mentioned it briefly just the other day. If you're Mike Matheny, you say, all right, he's swinging the bat so well, move him to second would be reasonable, or fifth would be reasonable. I think Mike is doing the right thing because he has been anything but obscure in the 8-hole. He's made his own thunder in a non-thunderous spot in the order.
And a pressure, the spot would be clean up third, first, and you know, when you're 8th,
Sure.
you're overlooked a little bit.
Right.
That's part of the process here for Mike Matheny. And then you get to have a glass of water thrown right in your face thanks to Carlos Martinez.
Yeah.
Carlos has been busy here in the first month.
Yes, he has.
That's taken for a ball outside. So this will be walk number 3 on the night for Corbin. Aledmys Diaz, highest average by Cardinals rookies. Diaz hitting .467. That is updated. Showboat Fisher, Joe McEwing, Bryden Barden, and Enos Slaughter.
Showboat Fisher, one would imagine, would have had his own water thrown on himself in the dugout. I don't have any idea what Showboat's first name really was. Do you know his baptismal name?
I don't.
Certainly wasn't Showboat.
I was just taken
I
back by
bless you, Showboat Fisher. I can see it now.
We're told his real name was George.
Oh, George. I like Showboat.
I do too.
Yeah, a little more pizzazz.
Here's the 0-1. Piscotty 2 for 2 tonight. I had a really nice conversation in the clubhouse with Carlos Martinez today. Coming off a great start.
Fun.
He's now 4-0.
He's fun.
He is fun.
The great guy, and just obviously Cardinal fans know how animated he is.
I asked him about Oscar Taveras and his family, and he said he's still very much in contact with the family. They're doing great. He said obviously we were best of friends growing up, played Little League together, and Carlos is getting more involved in the community in St. Louis for those that need education, especially Latin kids, and raising money for them. And he said, I'm doing it because I grew up really poor, is what he said. And I understand that, you know, what some of these kids are going through. They are poor. I want to help them out. And that's why I'm doing it. So he's actually started his own foundation in town, and he goes and speaks to a lot of kids that do not speak English in the St. Louis area that are at different schools. And he said it's just awesome. He said, I have 2 kids of my own, and they're 2 boys, 2 little boys. And he said, but when I see those kids with my jersey on, as he said, in a very just innocent way, he said, it puts a smile on my face. It was just great to have that conversation.
I think that's a great word for him, innocent, because the innocence, I think people can grab, they can grab hold of. I know he makes some mistakes, and he's made some mistakes last year, the year before, but it's out of that ebullience of
runner goes, doesn't matter.
Of uncontrolled excitability at times. But he's more mature and he's better with it.
Cardinals fans, Hyatt Regency St. Louis at the Arch offering an incredible Cardinals package this season that includes overnight accommodations, tickets to a weekend home game, personalized Louisville Slugger bat, and a $25 food and beverage credit to Brewhouse or Red Kitchen and Bar. Book today, 314-655-1234, or visit stlouisarch.hyatt.com. And to his credit, Carlos Martinez is getting much better at speaking English. Really has worked on it, trying to learn a couple of words every day. Teammates love him. They get a kick out of him, and we do too. So back-to-back walks, and now it's Holiday. And a chance to do some damage. Inning started with a long home run off the bat of Aledmys Diaz. Then Wainwright hit the ball hard to third, grounded out. Carpenter walked. Piscotty walk. And now 1 ball, no strikes on Matt Holliday. Two and 0. This could become a very big at bat and a very big pitch upcoming.
I'm really surprised Chip Hale, the manager of the D-backs, does not have anybody warming up yet. It's a real danger period for him and the Diamondbacks with the count 2-0 to Matt Holliday and 2 on.
The 2-0 pitch to Holliday. 3-0.
I think Mike Matheny turns him loose right here. If you get anything on the inside part of the plate, about thigh high.
They start to stretch a little bit now down in that bullpen of Arizona, but still no one throwing. The 3-0 pitch. I would guess that part of the thought process of Chip Hale is that we need to get innings from our starters. This is a bullpen that led the league in innings pitched a year ago. And currently they're near the top of that list in the major leagues. 3-1 pitch.
2 fastballs for strikes, but on the outside corner. You could see Castillo setting up, crossing the plate, just got the lower part of the strike zone.
One out, runners at first and second. The 3-2.
No, Mike Matheny does not like to send runners 3 and 2. I think the Cardinals can improve in that area. I really do. I mean, Holliday's already seen 6 pitches from Corbin in this at bat. He's a contact guy. If he hits the ball in a middle infielder, it's a double play. He's not a fast runner. I think you stay out of the double play, let him hack and send the runners.
Not running, and the 3-2 is hit to short. Out at second, and Segura can't make the turn. That will be an out with a clean turn. That may have been 2.
Yep.
Good call.
Well, I mean, you know, a guy like Holiday and Corbin, now the strikeout is not that big a deal because Holiday's seen too many pitches. So why not send the runners? If you can't send them then, when are you going to send them?
Randall Grichuk now with runners at first and third. He's 0 for 2 tonight. Twice he has flied out to right. Average at 209. Strike one. A pretty good slider right there.
Yeah, that's the first time he's really had a chance to throw the slider because he's been so wild with the fastball. The walk to Carpenter on a 3-2 count. Same to Piscotty. Goes 3-2 to Holiday on the 7th pitch. Matt hit a ground ball. So he really hasn't had a chance to throw that breaking ball.
Here's the 0-1. Tapped foul. Right past Chris Maloney. We were talking about Trevor Story earlier. He hits his 9th homer of April, which breaks Albert Pujols' National League rookie record, which he set back in 2001. Oh, 0-2 the count on Grichuk. Went with that slider again.
The slider, I heard Bob Brenly the other night. We used to talk about it during games, gosh, 10 years ago, about guys who throw the illusion of a strike. That's all the good slider really is. It's a disappearing slider. And I heard him talking about the illusion of a strike the other day. It's a fabulous pitch. Steve Carlson's in the Hall of Fame because of it. There it is again.
Strikes out Grichuk. Yep. The Cardinals get the home run from Aledmys Diaz, but cannot cash in with back-to-back walks. Diaz now with 4 home runs. What a start to his major league career. Another by Paul Goldschmidt. Goldschmidt, you know about him. Everybody in baseball has seen his prodigious power, but a surprise, undoubtedly, Aledmys Diaz. Just an incredible story and start for him.
Unbelievable. You can imagine what the people in Cuba are thinking now. With President Obama going there earlier this year, Joe Torre going there twice in December and February, the commissioner of baseball, Rob Manfred. And you've got the hottest story in the game, and he's from Cuba. I mean, my gosh.
1 ball, 1 strike. Brandon Drury.
It's just wonderful, warm, fuzzy. It touches all the nice things that this game can touch.
Aledmys was telling me that his wife is nearly 6 months pregnant with their first child. He finally got to reunite with his family within the last year. Had not seen them for nearly 3 years after defecting from Cuba.
Worried about his mom, you said he told you also?
Yep, first thing he mentioned. 3-1 pitch. Out in front of the mound, Wainwright makes the play. Who are the latest legends that will be inducted into the Cardinals Hall of Fame? Find out Friday right here on Fox Sports Midwest. We will officially unveil the Cardinals class of 2016. That's Friday at 6 on Fox Sports Midwest.
Legends, huh? You heard T. Boone Pickens' definition of the word legend. He said it was a 75-year-old with a job. He said that to him is a legend. A 75-year-old man with a job.
Good curveball to Nick Ahmed. T. Boone Pickens. As you get a look at Tejada at third base, but huge supporter of athletics at Oklahoma State.
Oh, yeah, gosh. Something like $600 million there.
Tejada was playing in, makes a diving stop. Nicely done.
I think Tom Mee, our director, might be a full-time employee after that shot, right?
Oh, yeah.
He shows Tejada playing in, and what happens? Ground ball. Tejada makes the play. Nice going, Tom.
Let's see if Tom will shoot the next Cardinal that'll make the out for out number 3. And if he gets it right, we take off the headset, book the first flight out to Vegas.
Not far from here.
So I've been told. Here's the 0-1 pitch. 0-2.
Beautiful city of Sedona is a couple of hours toward the Grand Canyon from here. Quite a scenic display here in the desert of Arizona.
I would imagine one of the issues for the Diamondbacks in terms of trying to draw, you have so many folks that grew up in other cities that now live here because of the weather, and in the summer months it gets so hot they probably disperse.
You have the snowbirds in Florida. I don't know that they call them snowbirds here in Phoenix. For the most part, they are, I suppose.
Here's the 0-2. And it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. We were talking the other night how Darryl Kyle made the first ever start at this ballpark. And that was for the Rockies at the time. And it was Andy Bennis, lives in St. Louis full time. 2 different stints with the Cardinals, made the first ever start for Arizona. And a strikeout for Adam Wainwright. And Tom Hallion just threw out his back. Get somebody down there. The quick studies, fastest expansion teams to win a World Series. The Diamondbacks, it was year number 4 for them. And then the Marlins, the Mets, the Blue Jays, and the Kansas City Royals, 1985 against St. Louis. The Marlins, it was 1997, led by Jim Leyland in that great series against the Cleveland Indians. The Mets of 69 and the Toronto Blue Jays, back-to-back world championships. The 6th inning rolls in, 3-2 Arizona. And this is Yadier Molina, followed by Jerko and Tejada. We were talking about it the other night, Tim, and I was thinking more about it watching the game last night and just seeing how Yadier Molina is able to handle the bat and a high fly ball that tails back to the right fielder Drury. But just how hard it must be to be a catcher, the heat of the summer of St. Louis, and it's not just the hands, it's your entire body is beat up. And what he's done to stay in shape over the years has been phenomenal.
What he's done to answer the bell.
Yep.
Day in, day out, day games after night games. And he's so proficient that his durability is rarely talked about favorably. People forget that for whatever reason, but he is so durable. You just can't say enough about him.
His brother is here at the ballpark today, lives here in this area. As Jerko hits it out of play, and We had the chance to visit with him down in the dugout, and I said, what would people be surprised to know about your brother? And he said they probably don't realize he didn't start catching until he was about 16, 17 years old. He was a third baseman growing up, pitcher, obviously had a great arm. There's a base hit by Jerko, but he also said we all knew at a young age he was going to be good because he was 5 years old. And there he is. Jose Molina. He said he's 5 years old and hitting home runs. He said, when you see that when a kid's 5, you know he's probably going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
Here's Ruben Tejada. Gets the start at third base tonight. Oh for 2, grounded out to third and grounded into a 6-4-3 double play. Lines it into right field. That ball is down. Jerko, no hesitation whatsoever on his way to third. It's cut off. Back to the bag at first. Tejada is safe.
That was a good play by Nick Ahmed, the shortstop, almost getting Tejada at first base. If you're the runner and you have one guy taking a chance, you have to be aware of it. Tejada almost going too far, but got back in time. That's why you hit the cutoff man. Good play by Ahmed, but Tejada, who is a shortstop normally, aware of it.
A couple things I really like on that play. You talked about this being a point of emphasis, going first to third. No hesitation whatsoever from Jerko on that base hit.
Jerko's not a fast runner, but again, you don't have to be fast to be good.
And that ball, if it goes through, probably beats Jerko to the bag, but Ahmed knows it's offline.
It's offline, right, right, toward the outfield side. Cards with a chance here.
And a pitch outside to Aledmys Diaz, who homered back in the 5th.
He's already checked the outfielders, checks them again. He knows he's too deep. He's got to go toward the line. It's a good base running by Jerko.
So he represents the tying run. The go-ahead run is at first base. Big gap in right center. 1 ball, 1 strike. Our Chevy Fox tracks.
I think Castillo stealing a strike there. The ball was inside.
And Diaz, you could tell just with his reaction, didn't like the call, but no words with the home plate umpire.
Right.
Just wonder if Corbin is starting to tire a little bit. In a 5th inning in which he gave a home run, gave up a home run and walked 2, and now it's back-to-back singles.
Well, the 3 men, he walks Carpenter, walks Piscotty, 3 and 2. Holiday hit the 7th pitch. So the numbers appear to agree with you, partner.
The 2-1 pitch to Diaz.
Two change-ups and then the slider.
Adam Wainwright is on deck.
You get the feeling this pitch is going to be out of the strike zone, and Corbin trying to feed to an area for a young hitter to try to get him out. Got to be very patient here.
Exactly what he did. So Mike Matheny giving the signs to Chris Maloney, the third base coach. The 2-2 in the dirt. But that's also good to see. On a 2-2, he doesn't chase.
Well, that's what he's going to be fed with. to test his excitability as a young player, a successful young player. Laid off the 2-2 slider. He'll probably get that pitch again.
The 3-2. Tejada is running, and the pitch is hit foul.
He got that pitch again, but it was right down the middle.
Right. Only 82 pitches on the night for Corbin.
Seems like more, though, doesn't it?
It does. Seems like he's been under duress for the better part of this game.
Yeah.
Diaz takes the walk, and the bases are loaded for Adam Wainwright.
That's a great at bat. Believe us, folks, we're not trying to make this something it's not. For a young man to do what Diaz has done, you just got to give him credit. And after hitting the home run, a tough at bat, tough pitches out of the strike zone, breaking balls, Corbin pitching him totally differently, saying this guy's for real, and he is. Or at least thus far has been. A lot of fun.
So the base is loaded. Middle infield at double play depth. Wainwright is 0 for 2 with a pair of groundouts, 0 for 8 to start the year. Ball 1. It's 4 walks issued by Corbin. The 1-0 pitch is a fair ball inside the third base line. 2 runs will score. Here comes Diaz. They'll wave him in. Ball gets away in the corner. Adam Wainwright with a triple that drives in 3.
Just fair down the third base line, rattling around in left field. And Chris Maloney loves this kind of exercise with his right arm. The windmill for a third base coach. They love it. 3-run score. And Adam Wainwright with a triple after a little more than a year ago having the Achilles heel just coming out from under him in Milwaukee. It's got to be the hardest he's run since then.
I would think so.
I would think. I mean,
I was thinking the exact same thing as he was going from first to second. What's going through his mind right now?
Yeah. What am I doing?
Right. Really the key plate appearance this inning, Aledmys Diaz. As you talked about, Tim, drew the walk, bases loaded, and Wainwright delivers with a triple. Here's a 1-1 and a ground ball hit to the right side with the infield in. Segura makes the play. Fans can purchase a special themed ticket to Bud Bash and get an exclusive bobblehead and autograph from Jeff Suppan. That's next Tuesday. Purchase your tickets at cardinals.com/budbash. So from being down 3-2, the Cardinals now have a lead of 5-3. And here's Stephen Piscotty on base 3 times tonight, 2 singles and a walk. Chris Maloney, his nickname is Hammer. And I asked him before the game tonight, I said, you know, I've been calling you Hammer for 10 years now, and I've never asked you, why did you get that nickname? He said playing Legion ball, he was 15 years old playing with 18-year-old kids. And they said every time that he would come up, he said, you just hammer the ball. And so that's what they said. His nickname was Hammer. And there were guys that played in the minor leagues with him and in college, and the nickname stuck. And Chris played at Mississippi State, one of the great college programs in all of.
Rafael Palmeiro played there. Will Clark played there.
He told me I'm the only guy. This is Chris Maloney. He said I'm the only guy that could make Will Clark sit on the bench. He said my first 40 games when I was a senior, he was a freshman, I was the man. Then I got hurt. They saw him. He was the man. And a base hit with 2 outs for Stephen Piscotty. That's a big run right there.
Well, I'll say. Adam Wainwright can rest. And the Cardinals are probably thinking, boy, if I had a hammer, I'd hammer in the morning.
That'll chase Corbin. His night is through, and it brings in Holiday. Big inning for the Cardinals as they lead it 6-3. And here is Holiday. 0 for 3.
Partner, that's only the 2nd career triple for Adam Wainwright.
Or Chevy called to the pen. And boy, did it come at the right time.
Man.
Enrique Burgos.
Yeah, we saw him in game 1. This guy's got some good stuff if he can stay in the strike zone.
He came in game 1 and struck out the side.
Yeah.
First Cardinals pitcher with a triple since April 18th of 2012. Jaime Garcia, the last man to do it. That was against Cincinnati. Runner at first is Piscotty. I realize that most of the attention in this inning will be given to the at bat by Diaz, certainly the triple by Wainwright, but with a runner at third, only 1 out, Carpenter grounds out, and Piscotty comes up with a 2-out RBI. Those are just killers.
They're big. The Cardinals have had them by the bunches this year thus far.
0-2 the count. Runner goes, pitch in the dirt, and Piscotty has a stolen base.
Could almost tell Piscotty was ready to run, and I think Mike Matheny rightly took a chance that Burgos would throw a ball in the dirt or a breaking ball to give Piscotty an extra chance. It was a breaking ball in the dirt, no throw.
And as you pointed out correctly, you know, it's a guy that doesn't have great command, especially with the breaking ball in the dirt.
Right.
Good pitch to run.
Right.
Here's a 1-2 inside to Holiday. The Diamondbacks, 91 innings out of their pen. That's the most in Major League Baseball. Cardinals' 3rd fewest. The 2-2.
Enrique looks like he waded through about 9 inches of mud to get to the mound. About mid-calf. His white pants are a different color.
Holiday goes down to get it into right center field. This ball is down. A ground rule double, and with Piscotty stealing second base, That proves to be big. If not, he goes back to third. RBI number 12 for Matt Holliday.
That's a tough pitch Matt Holliday hit. Good slider on the outside. And Matt lifts it over the fence, but you're exactly right. Not only the base hit by Piscotty, Mike Matheny taking a chance, sending Piscotty with 2 strikes. The ball was in the dirt. Holliday follows with the double, and Hazelbaker will be the pinch runner.
So 2 outs. And a man at second for Randal Grichuk. That move certainly makes sense. You get a defender that can run a lot better right now than Matt Holliday, and also base hit. He could score with the leg issues that Holliday's had the last year and a half. And now with a lead of 7-3. Just wonder now, will Grichuk see anything else other than the slider?
I don't think so.
The 1-1. Hazelbaker thought about going to third.
Even though that was a fastball, Dan. So who knows?
2-1 to count. Final line on Corbin, 5 2/3. 7 runs on 7 hits. He struck out 2, walked 4 tonight. 2 of those walks came around to score. Gave up a home run to Aledmys Diaz. There's your slider, and there's a check swing and a strike. 2-2.
And as long as National League pitchers know that Grichuk will swing at that ball out of the strike zone, why throw one in the strike zone?
Grichuk tonight is alone stranded 5. Twice he's flied out to right. He is also struck out. And he strikes out. The Cardinals send 9 to the plate. They pick up 5 runs. They have 8 hits. They lead it 7-3. Chip Hale was talking yesterday about how tough it is to manage in the National League West because you have 2 parks that are known for its offense, 3 parks that are pitchers' parks, so completely different. You see here at Chase Field, it sees an awful lot of offense, especially when the roof is open, which it is tonight. When the ball just jumps out of this ballpark. Jeremy Hazelbaker, after pinch running for Holliday, stays in the game, and this is the top of the lineup in Gene Segura. Adam Wainwright has struck out 4 here tonight. No walks allowed. And he's given up 5 base hits. 2 of the 5 to Segura. Infield hit back in the first inning, and he singled into center. just missed on the inside corner. This will be the third time through the lineup, and so far this year the opponent's third time through hit .370 against Wainwright. Curveball's taken just a bit high. Take a look at our Chevy Fox tracks, and indeed this was, yep, just a little bit high. Big gap in left center field. And the 3-2 pitch to the former Brewer. Popped up and foul out of play. So the third time this year Wainwright has been given a 4-run lead. The other two, one was a loss, the other game was a no decision. Cardinals eventually won the contest. And now has been given this 4-run lead. And a strikeout of Segura. As he slams his bat a couple of times. Heading back to that Arizona dugout.
Third baseman, Jake Lamb.
There's Jake Lamb, who is grounded out to second. Also hit into a double play. It was a real heads-up play by Yadier Molina. Hopped from the catcher's position on a ball that was bounced in front of the plate, fired to second for the first out, and then turned by Aledmys Diaz at second base. And we mentioned at the time, much easier play for Diaz on the double play and Molina because of the shift. And that's where he's positioned right now. The 1-1. Lamb lines it the other way for a base hit. Defensively tonight, some very good defense on both sides. Nick Ahmed. And then with this ball off the bat, a Holiday catch was made, and then Molina part of the 2-6-3 double play. And Ruben Tejada playing in that diving stop. So good defense all the way around. Here's Paul Goldschmidt, hit a towering home run back in the fourth inning. Chafin, the lefty, starts to throw in the Diamondbacks bullpen. 1 ball, 1 strike. All those innings for Chip Hale's club, and that will add up by season's end.
It really will.
The 1-1 pitch.
Notice Wainwright staying away from Paul Goldschmidt. You know, when you hit a home run on a high fastball inside, you can almost erase that from your next at bat. He may do it again, but he'll wait a game or two, and that could be a month from now.
Sure. Two and one, rather 3-1. 3 balls, 1 strike. This guy is some kind of hitter.
So strong, so disciplined, and he'll take a walk.
He's walked 22 times this year. On pace for well over 100. And it's a walk, so base hit. Now the walk. What's on tap brought to you by Budweiser. And Michael Wacha is coming up. Ruby De La Rosa. And we'll be on the air tomorrow at 8 St. Louis time. Derek Lilliquist out to visit with Adam Wainwright. Seung-Hwan Oh throwing in the Cardinals pen. He's off to a fabulous start. They're going to make sure that Adam Wainwright, one way or another, leaves this game with a chance to win.
Yeah, this very well could be with O up and Lilliquist out there. This could be the last hitter.
Exactly.
David Peralta, the center fielder. Got that tough Yasmani Tomas on deck.
So 4-run lead. 2 runners on, 1 out. Was the first walk issued by Wainwright. A check swing and a strike. With runners in scoring position, David Peralta just 3 for 23. Cardinals have turned 2 double plays tonight. Ooh, doesn't get the call. That's a big pitch. I mean, changes the complexity
of the at bat.
Of the at bat. You know, you
think
about 0-2 as opposed to 1-1.
Oh, yeah.
Good curveball. How often did you practice just the art of blocking a ball? Is that something done
once
with
the season began? Almost never.
Yeah, spring training.
Horrible.
You don't like to recall those moments?
No, I don't.
Blocked again by Molina.
There's a rhythm to it, though. Knowing your pitcher. For a breaking ball, actually you block it by going to your left just a little from a right-handed pitcher, because the spin of the ball in the dirt is going to take it back to your left as a catcher. You anticipate all breaking balls in the dirt. For fastballs in the dirt, those are the toughest because they're unexpected.
The 2-2 pitch.
You could see Yachty right there. He was in his crouch and his stance to block that ball, even though Peralta made contact.
There's even an art to how you block it, but
smother it. Keeping it in front of you is very, very important. Otherwise, if it caroms left or right, that could mean a guy advances 90 feet.
Almost like softening the blow, if you will,
right.
So it doesn't go that far away.
With the chest protector, right? But leaning forward just a bit when you're on your knees.
2-2 is fought off and a base hit. A run will score. Goldschmidt stops at second base, and that cuts the lead to 7-4. That may be it for Adam Wainwright. It will be. It'll be a double switch as well. Seung-Hwan Oh coming into the game. It's our Chevy called to the pen. The Hyundai pitch arsenal Sung-Hwan Oh. And boy, has he been good this year. He's been one of the top relievers so far here in the National League.
Number 26, Sung-Hwan Oh.
What's been interesting about Oh, he's getting a lot of strikeouts, among the leaders in strikeouts, relievers in the National League. And yet he doesn't throw a lot of first pitch strikes.
No, he doesn't.
Only 46%. That's 7th worst in the major leagues. But 10 appearances and 17 strikeouts.
Yeah, so much for staying ahead, huh?
Yeah. He's disproving that theory.
Right.
Brandon Moss takes over in left field for the Cardinals. Hazelbaker will shift to center, part of the double switch. Yasmani Tomas at the plate, and he's 0 for 2. 2 runners on. You're probably looking at multiple innings from Sung-Hwan Oh as to why you make the double switch. Because if you look at how the Cardinals were shaping up defensively, Grichuk in center, Hazelbaker in left, it's probably a better option than Moss in left.
Yes, defensively.
Right.
And you have a 3-run lead, and normally you'd want to protect that 3-run lead as opposed to making a double switch.
Now the issue that you'd have for the Cardinals, and Moss will go into the 9th spot, is that Chip Hale can pitch to him with 2 lefties coming out of their pen. They've got Chafin and they got Hessler.
That's right.
So 2 on, 2 balls, no strikes. I asked Eugene Koo, when you see the visit here with Molina and Oh, I said, what language do they speak? And he said English. He said Oh has learned just enough English and basic words with pitching, curve, fastball, changeup.
That's a good question and a good answer.
Yeah. So they're able to communicate that way. Two balls, no strikes on Yasmani Tomas. Oh, bare hands, better hurry, and just got him. Runners advance to second and third, and now there's 2 outs.
And when a guy like Tomas swings that hard at a pitch like that that's away, that gives him a jump to first base. And I was like you, Danny. I'm thinking you better hurry, because Tomas out of the box about a step and a half faster than he would normally. And oh, rather deliberate in barehanding the ball to just get Tomas at first.
Here's Wellington Castillo. Singled and scored back in the second inning, struck out his second time up, and there's a first pitch strike. Mentioned this an awful lot, but talking to a couple of scouts before the ball game tonight, I said, what has made O so good thus far? And they say he hides the ball as well as anybody. Stuff not overpowering. It's good, not great, but he hides the ball so well. League is not familiar with him. They also said that plays into this too. 0-2.
Deceptively fast like that. You hide the ball and throw a 95-mile-an-hour fastball out of the strike zone. Not too many people are going to get around on it. And he throws that cut slider. It's like between a cutter and a slider that just keeps sliding. Ends up often 6 inches, 9 inches outside.
0-2 pitch.
I think Molina gave a little fake throw with Goldschmidt coming off the bag.
He did.
And Castillo looked back at him and say, don't be throwing that ball the way you throw. Near me.
Remember game 1 just 2 nights ago, the tough night that Molina had with Jaime Garcia on the mound, and very long night for him, and he's been outstanding here this evening. Two balls, 2 strikes. Just got a piece of it.
That's that slider that just kept sliding. Actually ends up way outside. So from a right-hander standpoint, you really have to be disciplined.
Now time is called. The other thing that they'll do here, Tim, it's kind of interesting, is that especially at the beginning of an at-bat, let's say a man gets to second base, they want to change up the signs. Molina will just tell him the sequence of what they're going to throw. He'll say, okay, 2 sliders, fastball, slider, slider, something like that. So then he doesn't even have to give the signs, just so they have a better understanding. Didn't even give a sign here. They know it. The 2-2. Struck him out. O comes in, gets the ground ball, and gets a strikeout of Castillo. That'll send us to the 7th inning. Wainwright a chance to pick up his first victory of the season. He goes 5 1/3 tonight. O gets the final 2 outs in the bottom of the 6th. And it's Molina, Jerko, and Tejada. The Gateway Honda home run inning. Cardinals hit a home run. The Gateway Honda dealers donate $1,000 to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. First pitch to Yadier Molina is taken for a ball. Molina 0 for 2 with a walk tonight. Burgos, his second inning of work. That's hit well down the left field line, and a fair ball into the corner. Molina now with 6 doubles this season.
And we've mentioned several times that one of the most heartening things by Yadier Molina this year is his ability to pull the ball. Played 5 games in spring training. Was told not to swing the bat. And he's handled his 2 thumb operations on his left thumb very, very intelligently in his recuperation.
Now Jed Jerko singled and scored back in that 5-run 6th. Molina is dancing out there at second base. Outfield is very deep for the Cardinals second baseman, Jed Jerko. And the 0-1 pitch. Ruby De La Rosa will get the call tomorrow for the Arizona Diamondbacks. He's a right-hander, so very well could see Colt Wong back in the starting lineup. Cardinals saw him late last year. He allowed 5 runs in just 5 innings of work. No balls and 2 strikes. Jed Jerko from April to July last year had a total of 2 home runs, and at one point was sent down to the minor leagues to retool his swing, and already here in the month of April with 4 homers. Spoiled again by Jerko.
We've seen that several times, that emergency swing by Jerko on fastballs away with 2 strikes. Stay alive swings.
Look at the difference in the numbers for Jerko. Last year, this time, 149 average, no home runs, 3 RBIs. Very accomplished college player when he played at West Virginia. Was the nation's top shortstop by the time he was through. Chance to give the Cardinals a 4-run lead with a base hit potentially. In the dirt, Molina back to the bag at second.
Think about in this 3-game series thus far with game 4 tomorrow night, how many balls we've seen in the dirt?
More than usual.
Yeah.
I agree.
Castillo and Molina have been all over the place.
Three-two pitch. Hit out of play. Pretty good at bat here by Jerko.
Yes, it is.
That time of night, the favorite part of a game for Tim McCarver. Meetings on the mound.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking about Pete Rose. Pete Rose used to say, I might make an out, but I'm going to take somebody with me when I do. And this is one of those at bats for Jerko. I'm going to wear him out in the process.
Yep. 3-2 pitch. Good at bat.
Yes, sir.
So a double, now a walk, and the hitter will be Ruben Tejada.
Third baseman, Ruben Tejada.
Hal McRae was the former hitting coach with the St. Louis Cardinals and played with Pete Rose. I said, what was it about Pete that made him so great? I mean, give me something I don't know. And he said, Pete Rose, in my time playing with him, it didn't matter if it was 10-0 one way or the other. The man never, ever gave away an at-bat. And he said over the course of time, when you start adding up, you know, 10, 15 hits a year, 20 hits, 25 maybe, by not giving in an at-bat, that's what made him the great player that he was.
I'll give you another example of that. In 1980, Mike Schmidt hit a home run for the Philadelphia Phillies to guarantee the winning of the division in Montreal. Everybody, all the regular players the next day did not start but Pete Rose. Pete said, I'm starting tomorrow. He had 2 at-bats. His second at-bat, he singled. And guess who pitch ran for him? Me. I pinch ran for Pete Rose my last at-bat. And I don't know, that's kind of a weird thing.
Yeah.
But I was glad of that.
Tejada got the bunt down, and Molina is out at third. So Burgos gets the lead man, Yadier Molina.
That's a good play by Burgos.
Initially, when he spun to make that play, I didn't think there was any chance.
I didn't either, but you got Molina running. It's a good play by Burgos. He really charged the ball and threw a strike to Jake Lamb at third, covering.
If you're just joining us, a real key at bat in this game wasn't a home run. It wasn't a triple. It was a walk by Aledmys Diaz that brought up Wainwright with the bases loaded, and he brought everybody in. Really good at bat by Diaz, who was also homered here tonight and grounded out to third. Here's the 0-1. Now 0-2. Power stats brought to you by Kubota. Cardinals all time. You see what they're doing here in 2016 with those home runs. No one saw that coming out of spring training. Taken just a bit low. Two balls and 2 strikes. On deck, Brandon Moss. And quickly, the lefty is getting loose in the pen for Chip Hale to face Moss. Diaz, base hit into left. Here comes Jerko. He will score, and Aledmys Diaz has done it again. It's now 8-4 St. Louis.
And we all know it's not this easy. But for 3.5 weeks, that young man right there has made it look so. Slider, ground ball, left field, yet another RBI. He has 2 runs scored, 2 RBIs, and that great walk in the 6th inning. Man.
Chevy called to the pen. They'll bring in the lefty to face Brandon Moss. Aledmys Diaz. Wow. Andrew Chafin, 12th appearance. He pitched in game 1 of the series. Here's Brandon Moss. It's a lot of all or nothing here with Brandon Moss. When he puts the ball in play, it's an extra base hit more times than not. He was 4 for 4 last night with a 3-run homer. 2 balls and no strikes. Mike Matheny telling us about Brandon Moss. He said, "This is the guy we envisioned when we got him. Give us that power, come off the bench, can play first, can play the outfield." Breaks his bat, slowly hit to second base. Runners advance to second and third. Brings in Carpenter. 2 walks tonight, a run scored. He's grounded out to second and also struck out.
Sanders Chafin is very tough on left-handed batters because he can throw that sinking fastball in on the hands. It's what he threw to get Brandon Moss. Sure, Matt Carpenter very aware of it.
Carpenter hits it up the middle. That's a base hit. 2 runs will score, and Carpenter delivers with 2 outs.
Got that sinker out over the plate. Think he wanted it inside. Good hitting by Matt Carpenter, saying, I'm not going to give you a chance to throw me that sinker inside. Chooses that first pitch. Normally he takes. You can see Castillo kind of leaning inside, wanting that fastball inside, but again, an example of how pitchers just simply don't throw it where they want to all the time.
And Carpenter now up to 16 RBIs. Here's Stephen Piscotty. He's had a big night, on base 4 times. Reaction of Segura was interesting as that ball went by him into center field, as if he should have dove for it, tried to knock it down.
Save a run, maybe.
Sure.
That run on second base. Diaz. I beg your pardon. Yeah, Ruben Tejada.
So the Cardinals have picked up 8 runs here in the last 2 innings and looking for more. Three singles tonight for Piscotty, a stolen base, a walk, and a 2-out RBI back in the 6th as Jonathan Broxton begins to throw.
And Matt Carpenter with a 2-out RBI. Boy, the Cardinals have really been proficient this year with those RBIs when you have to have a hit, for the most part, have to have a hit to score the run.
And a strikeout of Piscotty, and it's time to stretch. Cardinals extend their lead, and it's been a big night again for Aledmys Diaz. The home run against tonight's starter, Patrick Corbin. Then Diaz again, an RBI single. The man is red hot. So he's back out there, as we thought, multiple innings here tonight. And Brandon Drury will lead it off. Drury tonight, a 2-run homer back in the 2nd inning off of then starter Adam Wainwright. Wainwright 5 1/3 tonight. The first pitch by O. I think what we've seen, and it's a small sample size, clearly, just the beginning of the season, but the Diamondbacks, they're going to win games. They're going to have to outslug teams. You know, starters just aren't going deep. They're not getting the most that they thought out of Brinky and Miller.
Yeah, they're going to have a lot of 9-7, 10-8 games, 10-6, 8-3.
Yeah,
those types of games for Chip Hale's D-backs.
One ball and 2 strikes. Popped up to the right side. This is Carpenter. Backs up, and makes the catch.
That roof open, there is wind down on the field, and Matt Carpenter looking up and realizing it right now. He has not had a pop up to challenge him tonight, but this is pretty challenging.
Nick Ahmed. So Carpenter makes the catch, able to hold on. Ahmed is lined out and also grounded out. And for the Cardinals, I don't think anybody saw this coming. When you think about certainly Diaz and Hazelbaker, you know, even the guy on the mound right now, O was a question mark. I mean, he had a good spring, but you don't know until he gets into major league games, regular season.
Tell you the one thing the Cardinals do know right now about both those players Diaz and O, and Hazelbaker. Some frustrations throughout their career. Diaz because of growing up in Cuba. Hazelbaker spending all that time in the minor leagues. O in South Korea, his last 2 years in Japan. It takes perseverance. And when you have perseverance, you have toughness.
There's a strikeout.
And that helps.
So O has faced 4 hitters. He's gotten 4 outs and 2 strikeouts.
Let's say the game ends like this. You know, to me, regardless of what the 2 relievers or 3 or 1 reliever does after O's the guy who got the toughest outs. Came in with 2 guys on, didn't allow an advancement, got out of the inning. So you get my point.
Yeah.
If a guy comes in and say the Diamondbacks score a couple of runs here and you get Rosenthal in the 9th inning, it's O that really saved the game. It's funny how the rules work. Good job by O.
This is another double switch for the Cardinals as Jonathan Broxton is into the ball game. Matt Adams takes over at first base. Phil Gosselin will be the pinch hitter. Good work by O. Sharp breaking ball. This is our Chevy call to the pen. Broxton 8 appearances and a 1.23 ERA. Here's a look at Matt Adams. Mike Matheny talked about trying to balance his lineup, keep guys sharp, in particular with what's happening at first base. There's a ground ball taken there by Tejada to Adams in the stretch at first. The relievers have been very good so far in 2016 for Mike Matheny's club. We head to the 8th. It's 10-4. It'll be Hazelbaker, then O spot, which is now occupied by Matt Adams and Yadier Molina. This is our Chevy called to the pen, and Arizona brings in the right-hander, and that's Dominic Leone.
Called up the other night after game 1. The Diamondbacks made 2 changes, 2 of their relievers, to accentuate the point Dan made earlier, saying that the bullpen has thrown more innings than any other bullpen in baseball. I mean, just having a ton of problems with their starters.
It's not to say you can't win if your bullpen is throwing a ton of innings.
For a while, if that's
Exactly.
the case for a while, but you can't have it happen all year. You got to straighten out your starters.
Not for 6 months.
No.
Just does not work.
A lot of people think that, well, if their nickname is a name like the Lumber Company in the 70s with the Pirates, that they didn't have good pitching. They had excellent pitching, very good pitching. It was just that they had hitters like Wilbur Stargell and Dave Parker and guys like that, but their pitching was superb. Kenta Colvey in the bullpen to close up things with the hardest pitcher that I had ever faced, Ramon Hernandez, the left-hander
Really?
in the bullpen. I've never faced a guy harder than him.
That
Used
surprises
to fall
me.
out of bed at night thinking about that guy. I mean, Rusty Staub said the same thing.
I'm going to check on Hazelbaker. Something is not right. So the medical team didn't see anything strange, but took a swing and got back in the box, and the umpire then decided to call out the medical team. Let's see if we pick up something here.
Thing is, the Cardinals don't have anybody else to put in the outfield.
Right. Seemed kind of stretch in the back a little bit there. I would think it would take about as much as you can throw at him for him not to stay in a major league game. He's not coming out.
Yeah.
Everything he's been through, are you kidding me?
No, that's right. On the other hand, if he says, because of that, if he says he's hurt, you don't know if you want to take a chance. But again, the Cardinals are out of outfielders. You'd have to put Wong in at maybe second, put Diaz or Tejada or somebody like that in the outfield.
And now it is Adams. Mike Matheny said before the game, we still look at Matt Adams as being an everyday player. Now, that's not happening right now because of Moss and the way things have been going. He said he pulled him aside 2 nights ago and just told him stay positive. He talked to him about it. They like his at bats as a pinch hitter. But it's a tough line to walk if you're the manager.
It's a tough sell.
Yep.
It is.
We talked to Matt before the game, and he was telling us, I'm just trying to show up every day, put in the work. And he said, I feel, though, the positive thing is that I feel like I'm taking better at bats here the last, let's say, 7 to 10 days. Really worked on some different things in spring training, was in between, he called it. Three and one. Hits it the other way and out of play.
That's a thing. See, you're going to reach for a ball that you may normally not reach for if you were playing every day, but because you only have 1 or 2 at bats, maybe every 2 nights or something like that, you have a tendency to go out of your strike zone like he did on that 3-1 pitch. That was a tough pitch.
Now the 3-2, and Adams swings and misses. So 2 strikeouts for the right-hander. John Mabry, the Cardinals hitting coach, and after those first 3 games in Pittsburgh, this team has been on a roll for the most part offensively. So 2 outs and nobody on for Yadier Molina. Molina tonight with a double down into the left field corner. He's also walked, flied out, and grounded out. Nobody throwing in either bullpen, so Broxton will have the bottom of the 8th for St. Louis.
Ball that clearly got away from Leon.
.30 pitch. Right now the Diamondbacks carry 8 in their bullpen. And it's a 2-out walk. Extends the inning to Jed Jerko.
Second baseman, Jed Jerko.
The 6th and the 7th, the Cardinals sent 15 men to the plate. Scored 8 runs combined with the 5 in the 6th. 3 in the 7th. 2 outs and a man at first is Molina, and the first pitch is a strike. Jerko on base twice. Single and a walk. 2 runs scored. sharply to Segura. Nice play. Midway through 8, 10-4 St. Louis. Go back to Saturday through tonight, and the Cardinals averaging 9 runs a game since Saturday.
It's after losing that first game in San Diego. Adam Wainwright.
Aledmys Diaz, a big part of that. Besides what he's done at the plate, also scored 3 more runs tonight. I mean, that's the other thing he's done, is scored a lot of runs.
And this is all hitting 8th. How many eighth hole hitters are going to score that many runs?
Looking at it now with 3 more tonight, that's now 18 on the year. The league leader in runs at the start of play was Nolan Arenado with 18. 0-2 the count on Gene Segura. 2 hits and a strikeout. Former teammates squaring off here, Broxton and Segura, teammates in Milwaukee. And we talked about it the other night, just thinking about Milwaukee and their rebuild. Cincinnati has a rebuilding plan. And the top tier teams in the National League are pretty good, especially in the Central Division. Pittsburgh and Chicago, St. Louis. The point being, when you go to San Diego, even though you're on the road, you got to win 2 or 3. You know, you got to beat those teams that clearly are not going to be in contention this year, because those top end teams, those are tough series. Into shallow right. And the catch made by Piscotty as he calls up Jed Jerko. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the St. Louis Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cardinals. Well, you always have to draft well, Tim. I mean, that's so important. But it is put at a premium when you are deciding to sell off veteran, good ball players to get younger, retool your farm system. And you better draft well, because if you miss on players, it's just a bigger hole that you dig yourself.
Or you can draft well, as the Diamondbacks did in drafting Dansby Swanson, and then make a bad trade. So you have to combine the two. It's the old-fashioned trading, and that's why we mentioned pressure with Tony La Russa earlier in the game. I mean, you know, you give away your #1 draft choice. You're trying to win here. You're expecting A.J. Pollock to be part of the situation and the ultimate problem.
And part of that deal too was Blair, who's a pitcher who just made his debut with the Atlanta Braves. So they gave away their top pitching prospect as well.
Yeah.
And Swanson, the top pick in the country.
Yep. Vanderbilt graduate.
And a strike to Paul Goldschmidt, who's actually Matt Holliday's brother that recruited Dansby Swanson and got him to go to Vanderbilt.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
About that. And we talked about Oklahoma State and T. Boone Pickens earlier. The whole world is one story.
Yep. It's kind of like the Kevin Bacon theory of movies. You know, you can always connect one actor that's been in a movie with Kevin Bacon. You know, so of this you're connecting the dots too.
The actor Kevin Bacon is as prevalent in movies as the real bacon is on breakfast plates in the morning.
He's in everything.
He's in everything.
I'm a big fan of his, by the way.
Oh, I am too. Great actor.
Well, as well known as you are and as well connected as you are, I expect a meeting with Kevin Bacon.
I don't know how that came out that way.
You know everybody. Oh, we love you, Tim.
I don't know Kevin Bacon. Let's put it that way.
Love you, Tim. Watch you in the 60s. You're my favorite player. Blah, blah, blah.
When you're older, when you're an elderly gentleman, just an elderly guy. We'll leave it at that. Things happen.
I love you on the broadcast, Tim. Well, you know, let's
just quit it.
Can we now focus on me? I need to get a meeting with Kevin Bacon. And you're the man to do it.
I'll work on it.
You know what I really want you to do, though? I've told you, for your show. Paul Simon.
Oh, yeah, I'd love to do that. Got any connections?
I think Bob Costas knows him very well.
Yeah, well.
You talked to Bob the other day.
I did.
He's off to Rio?
Off to Rio and then back to do 2 Yankee Red Sox games in about 5 days. He and Jim Cott for the Major League Baseball Network.
Love listening to Jim Cott.
Yes, I do too.
Dear friend of yours.
Yes, he is. I was best man in Jim Cott's last 2 weddings. 11 years apart. I've been... It's part of my deal. I'm the best man.
So you pick up the phone. Tim, Cott here. It's happened again. Get your tux ready.
No, it's not going to happen again. No. Don't you get me in trouble now with kidding.
Here's a 1-1 pitch to Peralta. Fielder's indifference. Jim Cott, part of the 1982 World Championship team of the St. Louis Cardinals. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame.
I do too. 383 wins.
All the Gold Gloves.
16 in a row.
Longevity. Played on a championship team.
1965 Twins.
Right.
Lost to Sandy Koufax in Game 7, 2-0.
The 2-2. Just wonder if the committee would, you know, take a harder look at him again.
He missed by 1 vote.
Exactly.
3 years ago.
Three and 2 the count with 2 outs and a runner at second base. And he watches a number of Cardinals games, does he not?
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. He watches baseball as much as he can.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Kitty doesn't miss anything.
We get to see him in spring training. He'll stop by Cardinals camp a couple of times. What a nice man.
Yes, he is.
3-2 again. My partner tonight, Tim McCarver, is in the Hall of Fame. Broadcaster's wing. What was that weekend like? It must have been amazing.
It was one I'll never forget.
I bet. Who were the players that went in that year with you?
Barry Larkin.
Larkin may have been by himself that year. There's one more with him. This is why we have commercial
Saved by
breaks.
the 3rd out.
We'll find it during the break.
I hope so.
Saved by the break.
I'm at a loss. We'll be right back. Remembered the two gentlemen that were inducted in the Hall of Fame in 2012, Ron Santo and Barry Larkin.
Wasn't it Vicky Santo who was there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Vicky Santo gave this just eloquent talk. Wonderful. Beautiful for the great Chicago Cub great.
Ruben Tejada, the first pitch is hit out of play.
I saw this guy pitch on television the other day, and you gotta love his arm. I mean, he has got a great arm. From Los Tablas, Panama. No, that earned run average looks bad in the whole bit. This young man can throw. I don't know if he can pitch, but he can throw.
1 ball, 1 strike. Great Mariano Rivera from Panama. And a fly ball. Hit into shallow right, and the catch made by Gene Segura. Not a ton of players hail from Panama.
No. You would think more.
Yeah.
Shortstop, Aledmus Diaz.
Another big night for Diaz. He's 2 for 3. And the average at 475. Most guys this early in the season, they go 2 for 3 and their average jumps 20, 30 points. Well, Diaz started at 466.
That's something to ponder, isn't it?
It's amazing.
Average, he's 2 for 3 and his average jumped 9 points.
And time was called. Cardinals will have the Hall of Fame announcement, a show that you can see exclusively on Fox Sports Midwest on Friday night. Edgar Renteria, one of the candidates, Joe Torre, Big Mac, Jason Isringhausen, Chris Carpenter. There's that good breaking ball right there.
Looked like a tightly woven slider. We have not seen Aledmus swing and miss at too many balls lately.
The 2-2. You know, Tim, we've talked about how great this must be for him. Clearly, you know, here he is in the big leagues. He signed a contract that would pay him $8 million over 4 years. But what does this mean for the organization, too? They dip their toe into the water of Cuba and sign a player to where now it's starting to come to fruition. I mean, everything he hits is hard.
Crushes every ball.
And that is part of the game now, going out and finding finding Aledmus Diaz.
Sure.
Matt Bowman is throwing in the Cardinals pen. There he is, the right-hander. 10 for St. Louis with the lead. Here's Brandon Moss. Now the Cardinals gave up Rob Kaminsky in the deal to get Brandon Moss, who was a top pick a couple of years ago, left-handed pitcher. And they felt comfortable in doing so because in their lower minor league levels, they've got some real good pitching coming. Hard throwers, guys that not only can throw but pitch, like you talk about. And so the comfort level in giving up Kaminsky was a little easier than it would have been, say, if he's a prospect and the cupboard then is bare. It's not. And at some point this year, more than likely, we will see Alex Reyes, who is the club's top prospect, one of the best pitching prospects in all of baseball. He's winding down his 50-game suspension. 3-1 the count. At the time the Cardinals got Moss, they were in search of offense and power. And now you look at the team and you say, well, this team is hitting for power, generating runs, generating offense.
And Moss has been part of that.
You bet. Three-two pitch. Reaches for it, out to left, and a base hit. I also think, Tim, that Moss is a cautionary tale for all of us in the fan base, too, in the fact that, you know, here's a guy that was coming off of hip surgery, and just because you're through the rehab and the surgery doesn't mean you're going to return to the player that you once were. It takes a while to recover, and I think about that with Johnny Peralta, with his hand.
Sure.
Just because he's ready to go and healthy enough to play doesn't mean he's going to be the hitter that we've seen the last couple of years. Here's Colton Wong. Mentioned the Cardinals face a right-hander tomorrow, so very well could see Wong in that starting lineup. One ball, one strike. Seems like Wong is always facing a 1-2 count to start this year. Chops it left side, and it is a fair ball. Infield hit for Colton Wong. He'll take it. So you had Moss, who just stuck the bat out and picked up a base hit to left. And Wong hits it slowly up the third base line. 2 runners on, and it brings in Stephen Piscotty.
Jim Hayes talking about Colton Wong and about how emaciated he was with his illness over the last 4 days. And he looks like he's lost about 5 or 7 or 8 pounds. Looks thin to me. Not that we're playing doctor or anything, but he has had a rough go for the last 3 or 4 days.
2 outs, 2 on. Piscotty. Three-hit night for Steven. On base 4 times to go along with those 3 hits, a walk. Jim said officially he weighed in and actually dropped 7 pounds.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that, but he looks it.
You are not going to get much past the cat.
Nope.
Jim Hayes.
No, you won't.
We had a visit on the pregame show with Brandon Moss. Once again, it was an Emmy-type performance by Jim. No surprise. 2-2. See on the right sleeve, they have a patch to honor Joe Garagiola. Recently passed away, and number of years spent out here with the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yeah, he was the announcer, gosh, 1998 to 2013 here in Arizona. Lived near here.
Of course, grew up on the Hill in St. Louis.
Yeah, went to his services at St. Ambrose. Joe Jr. was there, and the rest of the family. Beautiful service.
Think about that. Joe Garagiola and Yogi Berra grew up in the same block.
Same block.
The 2-2. Hit out of play. Member of the 1946 champion Cardinals.
He had a good series in 46 too. Ted Williams that year during the World Series was 5 for 25.
That's the difference.
200 he hit. That was one of the regrets in the great Splendid Splinters only World Series.
Inside. And people will tell you, those that have followed the game very, very closely, that with shifts in the game, it actually started against Ted Williams. There were some shifts that were put on against Ted.
Lou Boudreau, when he was the young manager with the Cleveland Indians in the late 40s. The Boudreau shift. Ted Williams had a meeting with Ty Cobb at the Commodore Hotel in New York. And Ty Cobb said, "I'll show you how to push the ball the other way." Ted tried it for a couple of games and said, "I'll just hit it through him." He did a pretty good job of doing that too.
Typical Ted Williams answer, right?
Yeah.
3-2 pitch. Piscotty with a base hit out to left. Moss will score. And all this damage being done with 2 outs. Again. It's 11 for St. Louis and a 4-hit night for Stephen Piscotty.
We talked earlier about Pete Rose and how he would battle for that extra at bat. That's what the good hitters do. Stephen Piscotty fouled off a couple of balls, then fists one into left field.
Good player, isn't he, Tim?
Yes, he is.
How often did you visit with Ted Williams? I'm curious.
We had him in the booth in the 1993 All-Star game in Baltimore for 2 innings. He got out of the car the Sunday of the All-Star game and yelled at me about saying on television that you've got to jam Barry Bonds. And I said, you've got to get in tight. I think it was a Saturday game. Well, he had heard it, and he excoriated me, screamed at me across the hotel.
Really?
Yeah, getting out, yeah. I mean, really, yeah. And then he continued before the All-Star game on that Tuesday night. And he had some fresh words for me, too. Some were quite salty. But it was a typical thumper, you know, bigger than life.
Yeah.
Talking the game. You just had to love it. I mean, you know, that slice of Americana that
Sure.
you never forget. But I did interview him in 1986 originally. It was for the Greats of the Game. I did a series for the Hall of Fame. And I interviewed Ted at Winter Haven, Florida. And we could not get him to sit down and do the interview because he wanted to show the crew how to fly fish.
I bet.
And it was just wonderful. I wish we'd had shots of him teaching us how to fly fish. Of course, I don't know how to fly fish, but he was one of the great fly fishermen in the world.
Right.
But he was such a I mean, he would yell at you and use all that salty language, and you knew it was just Ted Williams being the great guy that he was. You loved every minute of it. Call me some more names, Ted. Please call me names.
Asa Baker strikes out. You wonder if he was instructed don't swing the bat after dealing with that sore side.
Interesting.
4 with a home run, couple of RBIs, and 3 runs scored. Adam Wainwright, 3 outs away from his first victory and a sigh of relief here in 2016. Those are your Budweiser players of the game. And don't forget about his big hit, the triple, with the bases loaded. Chevy called to the pen, and it's Matt Bowman for St. Louis. He pitched in game 1 of the series. You can't pitch to Barry Bonds inside.
Yeah, he kept it up too. He assaulted Ted Williams, that is, assaulted my senses, and believe me, he could assault your senses.
I bet.
But it was wonderful at the same time. I mean, Ted Simmons cared, or if Ted Williams cared that much to say what he said to you about a comment that you made, which was an opinion anyway.
Yeah.
It was wonderful.
You know, Scott Cooper was a 2-time All-Star with the Boston Red Sox. Here's a 1-1. St. Louis kid. And he said the most amazing conversation he ever had in the game of baseball involved 2 people outside of himself. He said he listened to Ted Williams and Carl Yastrzemski. They both pulled him aside just to talk hitting. And he was a left-handed hitter.
Sure.
And he said just listening to Ted Williams describe how he felt with certain pitchers and what he would do with certain pitchers and counts and situations. He said it was the most enlightening conversation he ever had with anybody in the game about hitting. He said it was just incredible. And he said he was able to explain it very, very well. As Eric Fryer takes over behind the plate. Brandon Drury, seems like an eternity ago, hit a home run in this game.
It does seem like a long time ago.
Well, I think you nailed it, because the Diamondbacks are going to be playing a lot of these types of games.
They're going to be a team that's going to be worn down before their time. They're going to be a tired team in early August.
And Bowman picks up the strikeout.
And it's fine if you have an offense that's winning these types of games, but when you're losing these types of games, it wears everybody down, particularly, as we've said, the pitching staff.
You know what the series feels like? It feels like a 4-game series at Coors Field prior to the humidor.
Yeah, it does. Even with the humidor, those games are similar. Good play by Fryer.
Cardinals still waiting for Brian Pena to come back. Mike Matheny indicated it's at least a couple more weeks. And speaking of Coors Field, they're in a tie ball game in the 12th. And a ground ball hit to the right side and a base hit. I said this the other night. This feels like a spring training game. The crowd isn't into it at all, but it's like this from the first pitch.
Yes.
We talk about it a lot, but Cardinals will go home Friday night. And there'll be close to 45,000 people there. The atmosphere will be electric. And from a player's perspective, it's got to be fun. It's got to be fun to play in front of those types of crowds.
No question. every day. Are you kidding? If you're tired, that picks you up.
Sure.
It's automatic.
Ricky Weeks doubled off the wall in center in game 1 as a pinch hitter, as Bowman is trying to get the final 2 outs here. And a fly ball lifted to left. Catch made by Moss. I think of concern for the Cardinals was that last at bat by Hazelbaker, in which 2 at bats ago Hazelbaker swung through a ball and then started to stretch his side, and that last at bat didn't swing. And with a big lead, he's not going to drop down a bunt.
No,
you know, you're just not going to do that.
No.
And so
I think that's a good pickup by you, that he may be not swinging, because anytime you see an injury like that, perhaps an oblique is involved. For the last 5 to 10 years, everybody connected to baseball, every fan really knows what an oblique injury is.
Really across all sports, it's become so prevalent to hear that injury. Here's an 0-1 pitch to Gene Segura. And the Diamondbacks down to their final strike. And a strikeout for Bowman. Segura falls down, and a long night comes to a close. The Cardinals take game 3 of the series. They'll try to win the series tomorrow. The final tonight, 11-4. Another big night, Tim, for Aledmys Diaz, and the first win of the season for Adam Wainwright.
It gets increasingly more interesting as the Cardinals continue to play, to follow what Aledmys Diaz has been doing. Just a lot of fun, and he's handling himself beautifully.
The post-game show comes your way next. Brad Thompson, Pat Barris standing by with all the stats and highlights. 11-4 the final.